At first glance, it looks like a farming tool, very simple, curved, and meant for harvesting wheat. But during World War II, this knife earned a new name, the serb-cutter. In the hands of Croatia's Ustaše regime, it stopped being an agricultural tool and became one of the most horrifying weapons of mass murder in Europe. What was once designed to gather food was turned into a tool of slaughter, and the story of how that happened is one of the darkest lessons of history. The Srbosjek was not designed for homicide. It was made in Germany and sold to farmers as an efficient knife for wheat sheaf cutting. Its looped metal grip wrapped around the palm easily, and its inwardly curving blade was ideal for fast shearing in the fields. But after the Ustaše took power in 1941, governing the fascist independent state of Croatia, this farm knife had a new, horrific purpose. In the Jasenovac concentration camp, the largest in the Balkans and one of Europe's bloodiest camps, guards began whipping these knives onto their hands. Inmates stood in line, sometimes dozens or hundreds at a time. The knife attached to the palm guards slashed throats in rapid succession. This was not like a gun or gas chamber, face-to-face killing that was intimate. Blood-spattered uniforms, screams filled the nighttime air, and the killing went on until bodies piled high. Survivors provided testimony of occasions victims were made to witness as family members were slaughtered before their very eyes. One former prisoner described how the guards' boots skidded over ground, splattered with blood. Another recalled that the Ustaše did the killings as a craft perfected, repeating the action again and again with appalling effectiveness. But it was more than effectiveness. Killing with the Srbosjek was ritualized, even merry. Guards would have competitions to kill as many prisoners as possible in one night. These were referred to as cutting tournaments. The worst occurred on the night of August 29, 1942. Drunken and nationalist Ustaše soldiers competed in a slaughter. Petar Brzića, a former Catholic seminarian turned executioner, is forever associated with the night. Eyewitnesses report that he cut the throats of over 1,300 prisoners in one competition. Others killed hundreds. Lastly, Brzića was reported to have been awarded a gold watch, a roasted piglet, and commendation from his commanders for his triumph. Think about that for a moment. A machine meant to harvest wheat, now harvesting human lives, and the killers turned it into a game. And here's where the story becomes even more terrifying. Even the Nazis were outraged. Nazi Germany, with its firing squads and gas chambers, is etched in history as the definitive machinery of death. Yet when German officers had traveled to Jasenovac, they were disgusted upon their return home at the behavior of the Ustaše. They described the killings as excessive, chaotic, and sadistic. In a few of the reports, Nazi officials were afraid that such open cruelty would destabilize the region and alienate the locals. Bear in mind that the same government that built Auschwitz considered Jasenovac to be too brutal, and the Srebrenica itself as a symbol of something even more sinister. The genocide does not necessarily occur with cutting-edge technology. It doesn't require gas ovens or death squads. At times, it requires only a common knife in the wrong hands and driven by hatred. The Srbosjek's history is almost too awful to tell, but one has to remember because it presents us with a series of unpleasant truths about human nature and history. It shows how ideology can turn the everyday into the dreadful. The knife wasn't manufactured to kill, it was manufactured to cut crops. But in the climate of ultranationalism, racism, and religious intolerance, it was turned into a weapon of genocide. Second, it compels us to face the manner in which cruelty may become mainstream. In Jasenovac, mass murder wasn't simply carried out. It was made a game. Guards joked, competed, and even marked down their scores as if killing prisoners was a game. When cruelty is a spectator sport, humanity has already fallen apart. Third, it reminds us just how easily memories fade. Outside of the ex-Yugoslav countries, almost everyone today has never even heard of the Srbosjek. Auschwitz and Dachau are kept as memorials, but Jasenovac is less familiar overseas. Many of the survivors struggled for years to keep their memories alive. Denialism, revisionism, and political tensions still obscure the full truth, though. Remembering the past makes us less likely to repeat it. Mile Ristich, a survivor of Jasenovac, recalled, "I will never forget the view. They brought prisoners, men and boys, tied together. The guard put the knife in his hand, and one by one, their throats were cut. The blood ran like a stream. We were forced to see. The naked proximity of the Srebrenica killings left survivors permanently traumatized. Most reported even years later, glimpsing a curved blade within a kitchen produced flashbacks. And yet, the Srbosjek barely exists in museums outside the Balkans. Compared to the door of the Nazi gas chamber in Auschwitz or Majdanek's crematoria, there are few witnesses of this knife to be found in international displays. For most people, it remains a local memory, not an international warning. That silence itself is telling. History remembers some atrocities more than others. The Srbosjek isn't just some old weapon. It stands for something much darker. What happens when hatred becomes normal and cruelty gets ignored. And remembering what happened at Jasenovac means not letting those lives be erased. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. Stories like this aren't easy to sit with. They're heavy. But choosing to listen, to not look away, that's how we honor the people who didn't get that choice. If this gave you something to think about, maybe hit the like button. Share it with someone who cares about history that still matters. And if you want to keep going deeper into stories like this, the ones that are hard but important, consider subscribing. Thanks for being here. Thanks for not forgetting. I'll see you in the next one.